40-year-old property developer and naturist Graham Andrews has baked his way to a massive 16 stone.
I feel quite self-conscious. I only need to catch my reflection in a mirror or in a shop window, and it really knocks you back, and you think, oh, God.
Graham's life was turned upside down 2 years ago when he lost his long-term partner Neil to cancer.
Neil was definitely the love of my life. If he hadn't passed away, I think we'd have been together the rest of our lives.
Overwhelmed with grief, he turned to comfort eating.
Basically, I still cook for two, but now I eat it all. And I think, it sounds bad, but I think it's loneliness.
All the double helpings of fatty foods and puddings have seen Graham's girth increase by more than 2 stone, and his waistline is now 46 inches.
I snack continuously, I almost graze. So to be over 40, overweight, you're almost a social leper.
And Graham's cake and what's it diet is playing havoc with his bowels.
On average, I'll have a bowel movement between 5 and 8 times a day. If I'm leaving the house at 9 in the morning, I've been 3 times before I leave the house.
So, chronic diarrhoea, a rashy red face and a bulging belly. Will the diet doctors be able to find a solution?
So I've got Graham's photos here. Shall we see what we've got? Well, first of all, we've got Graham's tongue.
What I'm struck by instantly is all these little cracks all over it, and I do wonder whether he's dehydrated. I suspect this guy isn't drinking enough water. He's puffy on the sides of the tongue, so one would suspect he may have a problem with his liver. You've got this sort of white, thick coating at the back of the tongue, which might indicate a problem with yeast, or might indicate a problem in his large intestine.
Now, here's a worst-case scenario.
You can see very clearly the difference between these two tongues. This is a purple-red tongue. If Graham, as I suspect he does, has a problem with his circulation, and that problem got worse, this is what we might expect his tongue to look like.
And this is Graham's face, and clearly he has a skin problem.
What you're looking at here is a classical case of rosacea, which is a condition that causes redness in the face, particularly over the bridge of the nose, going into the cheeks, and is associated with some spots, which he's got up on the forehead here.
Well, clearly it would cause a problem if it were that bad.
It would. It's raised, it's red, lots of horrible pustules all over the place.
I've never seen a patient with a good diet that has rosacea.
No.
OK, so here we've got Graham's belly.
That's a belly. And the problem with carrying your weight on your belly like that is it predisposes you to diabetes. I suspect he's either got or he's about to get insulin resistance or high fasting insulin.
Now, this is a worst-case scenario.
It's actually a very serious photo, and this man is headed for a coronary.
No doubt about it. Well, we need to get to this guy before he ends up like this.
Definitely.
The first clues indicate real concerns for Graham's health. His puffy tongue suggests problems with his liver. His face shows signs of rosacea. And his large belly indicates a high risk of heart disease and diabetes. Dr. Wendy Denning puts Graham through a series of medical tests. She checks for cardiovascular problems, takes blood samples, and examines flexibility.
It's quite difficult for you, isn't it, Graham? Now, what's getting in the way of you getting any further? Yes, that's what I thought.
Wendy spots a worrying sign.
You definitely do have a bit of swelling here in the ankles. Can definitely see that.
His swollen ankles could be due to poor circulation. But together with puffy sides to his tongue, Wendy's Chinese medicine training leads her to suspect a liver problem. And a scan of Graham's liver confirms her worries.
You are depositing fat in your liver. Now, this is serious. So you've not just got fat on the outside of the body, you've got fat stuffed into your liver. It is interfering with the liver functioning. And this is something that can go on to cirrhosis of the liver.
Really?
Yeah, you're in a bad way.
The liver performs hundreds of functions in the body, including neutralizing bacteria and toxins, and converting fats for the body to use. When the liver is fatty, it can't perform properly, which can cause fatigue, in later stages jaundice, impotence, and vomiting of blood. Graham is a 15-a-day smoker, and the blood tests reveal he's suffering from smoker's blood.
What that means is you've got more red blood cells than somebody else would. That's a normal person's blood.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to show you the consistency of that. Okay, so it's not too bad. And then you come on to your blood, and you look and see how sticky that is.
That's like syrup.
And therefore, it's no great surprise why people who smoke are at increased risk of heart attacks and strokes.
But the medical horror of Graham's lifestyle doesn't end there.
And the other test that I think you'll find quite shocking is that your fasting insulin was high, which means that you're at risk of diabetes now. In fact, you are pre-diabetic.
Really?
Yeah. What that means is your body does not handle sugar well. And if you carry on in the way you're going, you will develop diabetes over the next 2 to 5 years.
That's quite shocking.
40-year-old Graham also has a yeast overgrowth in the gut and several food intolerances causing diarrhea. His food sensitivity tests show intolerance to yeast, wheat and dairy. He also has high blood pressure at 152/96. The target level is around 120/80. And all of his results combine to give the 40-year-old a metabolic age of 50.
It's quite a lot of information there. It's quite heavy news, isn't it?
I had no idea. Absolutely no idea that just living the way I am could lead to something so serious.
Coming up, the harsh truth for Graham.
That's very heavy.
You are.
The surprising effects of bread on this superfit triathlete.
It's left this huge, big, empty balloon that just needs more food.
And the gastric band that left one woman in agony.
I cried. It was so painful.
This body belongs to powerboat champion and triathlete Sarah Donahue. She's volunteered to be a human lab rat. A brave offer, as she doesn't yet know her challenge. We're going to make her include an entire loaf of bread in her diet every day for 2 weeks. As European and American powerboat champion and an international level triathlete, she's very proud of her muscle-bound body.
Got to have perfect symmetry, really good muscle definition. You've got to have low body fat. I usually eat around 4 tuna steaks a day. And ham as well. I always keep packets of ham. So everything that I've got here is very, very high in protein, low carb and low fat.
Breathe in. Before Sarah embarks on the experiment, we need to get her vital statistics so we can assess the effects of the next 14 days. Our results confirm that 35-year-old Sarah is in top condition with a metabolic age of just 13 years. And her GP's given the go-ahead to take part in the trial. This box conceals Sarah's secret diet challenge. All of the food she must incorporate into her usual diet for the next 2 weeks. And she has no idea what it is.
Oh, look at all that.
14 loaves of bread.
You know, it's going to clog me up. I can imagine looking like a Buddha for a week or so.
On top of her usual diet, Sarah will be consuming an extra 3,849 grams of carbohydrate, an extra 104 grams of sodium, and a staggering 18,648 calories. And she has to cut her exercise down to the national average of 5,000 steps a day, 20,000 less than her normal. But what impact will her bread-laden diet have? It's day 1, and she's about to find out.
Right, here I go. And it's so nice, but the problem is, will it be this nice after 14 days? Something tells me no. I've done nothing but eat bread all day. Tonight I am going to be sleeping on my back with my very large stomach stuck up in the air.
2 days later, and despite having bulked her diet out with bread for the last 48 hours, Sarah is suffering a surprising attack of the munchies.
I got up this morning absolutely starving, and I think it's because I ate so much bread yesterday that my stomach was so swollen, and now obviously I've slept and I've digested it, that it's left this huge big empty balloon that just needs more food, which isn't great because that does mean that after 14 days my stomach will be massive.
So far, Sarah's eaten a total of 72 slices of bread. That's 1,000 grams of carbohydrate and 5,328 calories. She's been suffering from bloating, lethargy and unexpected hunger. But there's worse to come.
Look at that! Look at that!
But now your bodies get checked out at the diet doctor's clinic. Tonight, they're looking at your photos of problem tummies.
I think we'll start with this particularly large stomach with stretch marks.
That actually is a male with stretch marks, which means they've probably gained weight very rapidly. And the problem with stretch marks is they're made much worse by having a zinc deficiency in the body. The key to help reduce them, because they're very hard to get rid of completely, is to take vitamin E and to take extra zinc.
And from a dietary perspective, I would obviously be recommending chicken, turkey, lentils, and definitely whole grains, which are very rich in zinc. Vitamin E-rich foods, definitely avocados, and wheat germ in particular, because wheat germ is not processed wheat, it is the germ of the wheat.
I was brought up on it. I love it.
Me too.
Well, let's take this one next, Vicky, because this person has had surgery, and this is one of the complications of surgery as far as I'm concerned, and that is a very ugly scar.
And look at the loss of muscle tone as well.
Well, that's probably an older woman. She's probably in the menopause, which is one of the things that happens when you go into the menopause, is your skin loses its elasticity. So any problems that you had already in the stomach, unfortunately, just get worse, because everything sags a bit.
But I think for anybody just having had surgery, I would obviously be recommending zinc and vitamin E, as for the stretch marks, but also vitamin C, because it's so important for healing and repair, and also for the collagen and elastin in the skin, for that elasticity. I'd like to go for this one, Wendy, because this is the unspeakable hairs on the tummy.
I think a lot of women get very upset when they've got hairs on the stomach. They somehow expect their boyfriends to have it, but don't expect to have it themselves. And clearly this woman is overweight, because this is a huge stomach. And so my first thoughts would be polycystic ovaries. And the problem with that is that it causes weight gain, it causes infertility, and it causes hair growth over the skin, abdomen, face, arms, legs, and also acne.
I think the other thing that I would look at this and say that if somebody's on a high saturated fat diet, they're much more likely to develop body hair, which ties in with the polycystic ovaries, insulin resistance, and so on. So this woman needs to see a doctor.
40-year-old Graham Andrews has comfort-eaten his way to a 46-inch waistline. Diet doctors Wendy Denning and Vicky Edgson have diagnosed prediabetes, acne rosacea and fatty liver. And all that can be put down to one thing. This is 1 week's worth of food from Graham's diet diary. Vicky's put food that will be healthy for an average person in the green zone. Foods that have some nutritional value are in the amber zone, and the red zone is ram-packed full of those bad, empty calories.
There's so much. This is enough food for 3, Graham. Would you agree?
Yes. Yeah.
I have to be honest, I'm horrified.
Graham's been wearing an interactive pedometer to monitor his activity levels, and the results are shocking. He's consuming a staggering 25,900 calories a week, but only burning 1,852 calories in steps.
How much exercise are you actually doing at the moment, Graham?
I do an hour of dance class every week.
You would have to do 26 hours of the cha-cha. to just stay at the same weight you are now.
Nutritionist Vicky's got worse news. Even food that's healthy for most is out for him. His wheat, yeast and dairy intolerance means no more milky drinks or bread and butter.
Tomatoes are known to irritate rosacea.
Right.
So canned tomato soup is going to have to go. Even the one healthy product where you would say, but I'm drinking plenty of water,
Absolutely.
is your orange
And
squash.
it's no added sugar.
But if you go back and look at the label, the sweeteners that are in here are enough to either make you hyper or so low in your mood that you're not going to be able to get through your day.
Oh, right.
And without naming names, this goes down the loo.
Vicky demonstrates just how laden with fat his snacks are by setting fire to one of his favoured Wotsits.
I mean, look how much fat is obviously in that.
The high fat content means the Wotsit burns steadily.
Do you want to smoke it?
That's
Exactly.
Amazing. That's amazing.
I mean, it's fat. But what you really need to see, Graham, is this is your average weekly consumption of Wotsits, fat. Just the fat from your Wotsits.
I find that totally shocking.
That's amazing.
That is shocking.
I thought because they're baked, they're not a fried snack.
It doesn't matter. There is still all that fat in there. The fat is there, whether it's fried or baked.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not there, it's there. You are a fat addict. I'm disgusted. I mean, look at the fat, the sugars.
Yes.
I think what I'm most worried about with all of this is what's happened in the last couple of years is no accident. This is self-induced ill health.
Yeah.
It's sitting right here on a weekly basis.
But if seeing a week's worth of comfort eating laid before him was shocking, Vicky's next surprise should be truly sickening for regular cake baker Graham.
This is 2 stone worth of cake mix, Graham. And you have been pouring all this sticky, gooey stuff into your poor stomach and expecting it to deal with it. I mean, would you know, looking at it like this, in this kind of quantity, would you do this?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Well, you have been. That is 2 stone of cake mix. So, I want you to see if you can pick that up. Careful. Yeah, you might want to put it back down again before you hurt yourself.
Oh! That's heavy. That's very heavy.
You are.
Yes. Yes.
But now, do you get an idea? I mean, this is... I know I keep going in on your baking, but this is the stuff you are pouring into your body.
Yeah.
And it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy, isn't it?
It is.
Not really surprising you've got fatty liver, is it?
No.
With Graham suitably shamefaced over his cake consumption, Wendy reminds the keen naturist just how healthy he was a couple of years ago before his diet took a nosedive.
So, what I want to show you now is the way we want you to go
Okay.
and where you're going back to.
Much healthier.
Yes.
Much healthier.
Much better looking. Someone who's proud of his body. Fantastic.
Yeah. I was happy then. I was free and life was good.
Yeah.
Having got Graham motivated to change, Vicky presents a tailor-made new diet to tackle his problem areas. For his chronic diarrhea, Vicky suggests eating binding foods like eggs and bananas, which are also high in potassium. Because of Graham's dairy intolerance, milk is to be replaced with rice and oat alternatives. Lots of leafy green vegetables will provide Graham with potassium to balance salts in the diet and prevent fluid retention. His squash is replaced by at least 2.5 litres of plain water a day. And Graham's saturated fats will be replaced by essential fatty acids found in nuts, seeds and oily fish. While the new diet kicks in, Graham will also be taking supplements. Fish oils containing omega-3 essential fatty acids, good for the skin, circulation and reducing blood stickiness. Glutamine powder complex to aid his intestinal function. And a yeast-free vitamin B complex to help his liver, skin and digestive tract. He needs to double his current activity levels to at least 10,000 steps a day.
You have the ability to turn this around. It's all in your hands, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Graham's eating habits were woefully misguided, and he's not alone. In today's world of clever marketing, sometimes it can be really hard to know just what is healthy. Smoothies are a classic example. Yogurt-based smoothies that use full-fat yogurt can be surprisingly high in saturated fat, so always read the label. Sainsbury's Taste the Difference vanilla and honey yogurt smoothie contains a total of 6.5 grams of fat, more than a quarter of a woman's daily allowance. And Boots' delicious vanilla bean honey smoothie has more saturated fat than a chocolate frosted donut. Also watch out for high levels of concentrated juice content, meaning high sugar levels and less benefits. Asda Strawberry Banana and Guava smoothie does contain guava, which is rich in vitamin C, but it's nearly 40% grape juice made from concentrate. Asda say they'll look into replacing the concentrate. The diet doctors recommend you to watch for long shelf lives. Less fresh can mean less nutritious. Try making your own smoothies or going somewhere that blends them up fresh. Still to come, the woman who can never eat solid food again. This super fit athlete endures the shocking consequences of too much bread.
Is there such a thing as bread poisoning?
And the new diet leaves Graham with a bad taste.
Oh!
Coming up on Diet Doctors, our human lab rat is on the verge of giving up.
I just don't want to eat anymore. I'm finished.
The horrifying consequences of too much fatty food.
Your liver would have ended up as patty.
And Graham's getting grumpy.
Everything is so relentless.
But first, the diet doctors recommend the best way to lose weight long-term is with sensible diet and exercise. But that doesn't stop some people seeking a quick solution.
Because you're big, you're seen as a glutton, you're seen as a pig. You're seen just, well, stop eating, it's easy.
38-year-old Sandy Albury has fought a battle with weight gain since losing her son to cot death in 1992.
I started to comfort eat and drink, became very depressed.
When diet after diet failed, Sandy reached 22 stone and almost gave up hope of ever returning to a normal weight. Until, by chance, she came across something that seemed to offer a solution to all her problems.
I was reading a magazine and this lady had lost 10 stone, had a gastric band. So I got into their website. There was testimonies of people that had been successful for it, and it just seemed like a miracle. It just seemed like that I'd never have to go back to any slimming club and it was going to be fine.
Sandy underwent surgery 3 years ago and was fitted with an adjustable gastric band, also known as a lap band. A hollow tube of silicone rubber sits around the upper part of her stomach. It's inflated with salt solution through a tube connected to an access port placed under the skin. It can be tightened or loosened to adjust how much space is left for food to get through. After 6 months, Sandy still hadn't seen significant weight loss, so she agreed the doctors could adjust the band to its maximum tightness. The effect was dramatic.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat solid food at all. I was vomiting. I was dehydrating. I could vomit 7 to 8 times a day.
But Sandy's been tempted back to her bad old diet, and she's had to face the consequences.
I had a piece of lamb and it got stuck. I couldn't drink water because it was stuck and it just came straight back up. I cried. It was so painful.
Ever since, Sandy has faced a constant struggle to eat without being sick.
My only choice now is to eat food which has been heavily blended. I have to look at food now, not if it's good for me. Can I digest it? Will it go down?
Sandy's failed to re-educate herself about what to eat, so she's seen minimal weight loss.
I'm devastated that it's failed. I just feel really, it's depressing.
The gastric band has not only cost her over £5,000, but also the ability to live a normal life. The diet doctors say that while gastric banding can help in certain cases, it shouldn't be seen as an easy option. Portion control and healthier food choices with an active exercise program is the way to a happy relationship with your food and your waistline. Property developer Graham Andrews had comfort-eaten his way to a 46-inch waistline. Weighing in at 16 stone, his face is angry and red with rosacea, he has a fatty liver and is pre-diabetic. Graham is going all out to change his ways with the diet doctor's new plan. He's quit smoking, is stocking up at the health food shop and is inviting friends round to share his nutritious meals.
I'm very motivated to start a new regime. This is a real chance for me to make a new start, get back to where I should be, where I was a few years ago.
And he's really going for it on his exercise regime. But he's still missing one thing: cake.
I'm missing sweet stuff. I really am.
I need to at least have the option or the ability to be able to bake something.
This is harder than I ever imagined it would be.
But Graham doesn't let his craving get the better of him. He's sticking rigidly to the plan despite moving home and running a demanding business. 1 month in, and it's time to see if all the effort has started to pay off.
Hello. Wow, how much weight have you lost? It's so apparent. You must have been quite a bit.
Over a stone already. Yeah,
That's
over a stone.
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm very pleased.
So tell me, how are your bowels?
Consistency is pretty much the same. It's still sort of the looser end of the scale.
I'm actually going to suggest 2 major things. I want you to eat bananas and brown rice every day because these foods are known to be binding. And the second is that I don't want you eating any fruit after dinner. So late at night, you often hear 10:30 p.m, a plum, a peach.
Bowl of cherries.
Bowl of cherries. Yeah. Absolute disaster. Right. Because it's at the end of the day and it's too much for your digestion to cope with. And obviously through the night, fermentation's taking place. First movement in the morning is get out of bed, straight to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But there obviously is some disappointment with the face, I imagine.
Yes. Yeah, I was hoping to have seen the skin a lot clearer by now.
I think I'm going to bring in another therapy, which I think could be incredibly valuable for you to clear your skin up. Okay. And that is Chinese herbal medicine and acupuncture.
Oh, right.
Graham has made amazing improvements on his new diet. But to remind him just what serious health problems he's up against, Wendy and Vicky have prepared a little something.
This is actually a pig's liver. And that's what a normal, healthy liver looks like. Okay. Nice and red. This pig is not drinking alcohol, not eating a lot of fatty food, and not eating any Wotsits, by the way. You have a fatty liver, as we've identified. Yeah. And that looks like a liver like this, coated in a layer of fat. Can you see how disgusting really that looks? So what you're seeing is actually the fat accumulating on the outside of the liver, but in your liver that process is going on inside the liver.
Really?
Yep. And you see this sort of congealing fat, and you can imagine that that fat gets in the way of the liver doing all of its many functions. Now the good news is that can be reversed, but it requires a significant change in lifestyle.
And to show the consequences of eating too much fatty food, Vicky has a complete foie gras.
Foie gras, translated from French, literally means fatty liver. And this poor goose was fed with fat being poured down its throat, because it certainly wouldn't have eaten that amount of fat, until it got to a consistency where they could market it as pâté. there isn't a liver left there. Effectively, if you had carried on with your old diet at the rate you were going, you would have ended up with a liver looking like this. Your liver would have ended up as pate.
But Wendy's got yet another shocking fact for men.
This is a normal, healthy pig's testicle.
Nice.
What happens when you've got cirrhosis of the liver, you can get shrinkage of the testicle.
Really?
And you can see, Graham, what the difference there is. Huge testicle versus a tiny little shriveled one. And the reason for that is because as a result of cirrhosis of the liver, it changes the balance of testosterone and estrogen in the body, and you get a rapid effect of the testicles shrinking. And this is why so many men with cirrhosis of the liver are impotent.
Right.
2 weeks after his checkup at the clinic and with still no improvement in Graham's skin, Dr. Wendy's referred him to a Chinese medicine practitioner. She's seen great improvements in patients with skin conditions through the use of acupuncture and Chinese herbs. But Graham's not impressed with this latest addition to his new regime.
That is 1 day. 1 day's supply of herbs that I've got to boil up. Everything is so relentless. The diet, the exercise, the Chinese herbs that I've got to boil every day. I've got to eat brown rice every day. I've got to eat bananas every day. I want a day off.
With Graham in desperate need of some light relief, Vicky plans something to sweeten the pill.
Well, I'm going to surprise you because I've put together a recipe for a cake. Don't be too suspicious, you could be surprised.
Because of his wheat intolerance, Vicky starts with brown rice flour, then a pinch of nutmeg and cinnamon, which have surprising qualities.
They're blood cleansing and they're also liver supportive, and they're quite stimulating, so they help to stimulate bile flow and bile production from the liver. Oh. Very important when you're cleansing.
Yeah.
Some desiccated coconut and sultanas for sweetness, an egg and some pumpkin seeds.
We're going to try them in the mix.
Next, a glass of water and a good beating.
I get the sense you've done this a couple of times before,
yes.
Graham.
Yes.
And now we add finely grated carrots. And as you know, carrots are lovely and sweet. They also contain a lot of beta-carotene, which is an important antioxidant.
Carrots also contain potassium, which will help to lower Graham's blood pressure.
Look at you, you look so excited. And we know that you are the cake mix guy. That looks fairly thick and fabulous.
The mixture is spooned into a loaf tin, lightly greased with olive oil, then into the oven for 40 minutes.
Well, while that's busy baking away, we've got to do the topping. Now, this is not icing sugar, I'm sure you realise. But with the combination of 2 ounces of ground almonds, and to that, we simply add 3 ounces of apple juice. And we're just literally going to mix this in until we form a paste.
That's it?
That is your icing. Now, I've got to tell you, because you've got a lot of protein in here, with your almonds, ground almonds, pumpkin seeds. It's pretty well balanced.
Lovely.
But will the first piece of cake that Graham's been allowed in weeks pass the taste test?
Actually, that icing is lovely. That really is nice. I'm sorry to sound so surprised, but that is really nice.
Good, isn't it? Good.
Back home, the Chinese herbs still lack appeal, but at least he started taking them.
I really don't want to do this. I want my skin to be better, and that's why I'm doing it.
But will Graham continue to stomach his lifestyle changes? Under Vicky's instructions, Graham's had to cut wheat from his diet. But Superfit powerboat champion and triathlete Sarah Donoghue is doing the opposite, putting her body and fitness on the line to test the effects of a high-wheat diet. She's been challenged to incorporate a loaf of bread a day into her usual diet, and to restrict her activity levels to just 5,000 steps, the national average. In the first week, she suffered lethargy, hunger pangs, and bloating. Now it looks as though the bread is having a negative effect on the thing closest to her heart, her hard-earned, highly toned body.
Get a close-up of that. Look at that. Look at that. And I'm getting all that from this. But every piece of bread that I eat That's an hour at the gym. Do you realise that? That's an hour and 20 minutes.
A couple of days later and the bread intake is continuing to sabotage her physique.
I'm softening off with muscle definition on my arms, and I'm holding quite a lot of water on my waist. Never been able to get hold of a pound of flesh, but I can now.
Surprise!
Oh.
Sarah's friends notice a change in her easygoing personality.
So am I really grumpy?
Very grumpy.
Honestly, that's terrible.
Oh, I'm done. Keep going.
Oh.
Normally full of positive energy, Sarah's reduced to slouching on the sofa.
Is there such a thing as bread poisoning?
Nearing the end of her loaf-a-day diet, Sarah's feeling completely worn out.
So every single morning I'm getting up later and later and later, and I'm just getting really, really tired during the day.
After 14 days, 3,849 grams of carbohydrate and 18,648 extra calories, Sarah's ordeal is finally over.
I actually can't say anything positive about it. I just don't want to eat anymore. I'm finished.
With the diet finished, it's time for her to be retested to see how her body's changed over the 2 weeks.
Breathe in. Okay, that's 10.5.
Well, those have shrank.
Sarah suffered mood swings, lethargy, water retention, lack of concentration, hunger pangs, poor sleep and bloating. But just when she thought it was all over, Sarah sees the most dramatic results of the experiment so far.
I was so ill that I didn't get out of bed till 9 o'clock at night. I was ill all day. I was sick 5 or 6 times. I felt like I was having some form of withdrawal symptoms.
With her test results in, she meets Wendy and Vicky to find out if there's any more bad news.
I'm sure you're dying to hear what the results were.
Oh, I don't know, actually.
Well, I'm dying to tell you. You gained an inch around your waist. You gained an inch around your hips.
I felt like something was going on my hips. I felt a bit bigger.
And you gained a staggering 4 pounds in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's not good. I mean, no woman likes to put weight on, do they? We can say it's okay, but it's not.
Sarah may be unhappy with putting on 4 pounds, but if she continues with that level of weight gain, after a year, she'll have gone up a staggering 7.5 stone. 2 weeks later, and Sarah has seen no further ill effects. She's back in training and back to her old toned self. 40-year-old Graham Andrews had comfort-eaten his way to fatty liver disease, a rashy red face and pre-diabetes. Wendy and Vicky look for clues to his transformation.
So this was Graham's tongue 3 months ago. Well, this is Graham's tongue 3 months later.
Well, that's a great improvement anyway. One can see that it's less puffy, the sides are less puffy, so hopefully the problems that he's been having in his liver have settled down.
Good. An improvement.
Significant.
Now, this was Graham's skin on his face 3 months ago.
And what we noted here was this very marked red eruption on his forehead and on his cheeks, all of which suggest a moderately bad case of rosacea.
Well, this is how he is now.
Completely different. You can see he's lost weight, and his skin is so much better.
This was Graham's belly.
It's just big.
Huge. But the surprise is, here he is today.
Completely different man.
Phenomenal, phenomenal change.
I'm really pleased with the changes here. Really pleased. I can't wait to see him in the flesh.
Well, let's bring him in.
It's 3 months since the diet doctors first met Graham. How much of a change has there been?
Where's he gone?
You look fantastic. You look great. How are you feeling?
Wonderful. Better than I've felt in years.
Oh, great.
Yeah, really, really good.
Seems good on the outside, but the real proof will be the medical retests. 3 months ago, Graham was devastated to find he had a fatty liver. Has he done enough to rescue his health?
Your liver function tests were really quite seriously abnormal, and you know we were really quite worried about them. I've had your latest liver function test back, and they're not completely normal, but they are almost normal.
Excellent.
When Graham first attended the clinic, he was shockingly diagnosed with pre-diabetes.
Well, I'm really pleased to tell you that your fasting insulin is now in the normal range, and so we can safely say that you've taken yourself out of the danger zone of being pre-diabetic.
Excellent. Thank you.
The rest of 40-year-old Graham's results also show great improvements. He's knocked a staggering 12 years off his metabolic age. It's now just 38. His high blood pressure has dropped and is now in the normal range at 125/69. And he's no longer suffering from diarrhea.
And you were having diarrhea about 8 times a day on many days when we first saw you. How is that now?
I go to the toilet once, maybe twice a day. It's brilliant, yeah.
We've just finished looking at your photos, and I don't know if you can see them up there, but
Wow.
if you look at some of those differences...
Before his lifestyle rescue plan, Graham's face was covered in angry red acne rosacea. But finally, after persisting with the Chinese herbs, his skin is showing big improvements.
Your face now compared to how it was. You've got a neck, Graham.
I know. It's amazing,
Isn't it? Fantastic. You've got a neck, you've got a jawline.
But what will the tape measure reveal?
Let's do your measurements first.
Graham's total inch loss is an amazing 35.5 inches. He's dropped an incredible 10 gene sizes.
Which is why we've got these fabulous pair of jeans fitting you like a dream.
Yes.
What does that mean on the scales?
You started at 16 stone and you are down to 13 stone 9 pounds. Well done.
That's really an achievement. That's 2.5 stone.
Graham is just 3 months into what must be a permanent change in diet and lifestyle, but he's already healing from the inside out.
It's been a phenomenal journey. They say life begins at 40, and I've got a new life. Thank you.
Well done.